Breaking tonight, President Donald Trump posting on Truth Social that he will terminate the temporary protected status for Somalis in Minnesota.
Trump just ended the protection for Somalis, the ones in Minnesota. He said it's over for them, to send them back to where they came from on his true social media. He's tired of them scamming Minnesota out of hundreds of millions of dollars. He must have heard about that Feed the Kids scam, where they said that they was feeding hundreds of thousands of kids, but they weren't. And he's tired of them terrorizing the people of Minnesota. This is Trump on his true social media.
Minnesota under Governor Walz is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity, hereby terminating effective immediately. He said immediately. The TPS program for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of the great state and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over. Signed, President Donald J. Trump.
A $250 million fraud scheme. Already 77 people, many of them Somali immigrants, have been charged in one of the largest taxpayer-funded scams in U.S. history. Minnesota, home to the largest Somali community in America, has become the center of this massive investigation. This is the Feeding Our Future scandal, a pandemic-era scheme in which defendants allegedly stole over $250 million meant to provide meals for low-income children. Instead of feeding kids, prosecutors say the money went toward luxury homes, high-end cars, jewelry, overseas transfers, and an entire network of shell companies. According to the DOJ, the conspirators submitted fake invoices, fabricated meal counts, and even staged photos to make it look like they were serving millions of meals that never existed. In some cases, they claimed to feed more children than lived in entire neighborhoods.
It's probably not my place to talk about it, but I think it's kind of crazy how Minnesota Somalis never failed to embarrass us. I'm not even talking about the ones that are like normal, like going to school, you know, actually trying to do something with their life. I'm talking about the ones that are actually involved in this fraud shit. The ones that are here on temporary protected status are probably not the ones involved in that, but they're the ones that are going to feel the most punishment. Like, this shit is going to ruin lives.
African-American woman about 25 years ago apparently warned the Somali community about what's going to take place in Minnesota. She basically warned them and said, you guys are going to become just like us. You don't take initiative and open up communities and invest in the youth, etc., etc., etc. You don't need to do all those things. Because one thing that Somalis do have, and unfortunately African-Americans don't, that Somali culture is rooted in Islam. It's rooted in La ilaha illallah. And when you see situations like this, it's so upsetting because the line between Somalis and African Americans in a few generations will absolutely disappear because we forgot about Islam. So a lot of parents combat this and send their kids back to Africa because the United States will eat you alive. And I'm sure this happens not just in Minnesota, but in UK and Canada as well. But if we want things to change, we need to keep the main thing the main thing. These individuals above me lack purpose. If you lack purpose, you get caught up with the law. Why are we doing this to ourselves?
It's been discovered that Somalian immigrants that are currently living in Minnesota have been defrauding the American taxpayers of millions of dollars through different schemes such as pretending to have autism. This way they get government funds. Not only have they been stealing money from you, but they've then been taking that money, sending it back to Somalia into the hands of designated terrorist organizations such as Al-Shabaab. Well, the word of this has finally reached President Trump, who is taking immediate and swift action to ensure that this is no longer going to be happening, not on our dime. He is ending the temporary protected status program for these Somalians, so they will not be able to come to the United States, claim that they need to seek refuge, and then funnel money directly back into the exact same groups that they are claiming they need protection from. It is not going to be happening. You are not getting one over on the American citizens anymore. If you want to go be terrorist, fine, go live with the aftermath that it creates.
How did Minnesota become known for Somali immigrants? Well, you see, in the 1990s, Somalia had a civil war, and the United States decided to import a lot of those immigrants under TPS. TPS is a form of immigration that falls specifically under the presidency. The president can determine that there's a war-torn country, say Somalia, and that we're going to accept immigrants from there temporarily. The thing is, it's never temporary. TPS for Somali immigrants has been renewed since it was implemented in 1991. 91 to 2001 to 2011 to 2021, that's 30 years. And what happens is those temporary protected immigrants have kids. Because we have birthright citizenship, those kids become citizens. When your kid's a citizen, it's easier for the parent to become a citizen. So if I wanted to change the makeup of a state, all I would do was allow certain immigrants to have temporary protection, give them that temporary protection for 30 years. And by the time that temporary protected status is over, most of them are already citizens anyway.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Joy Report, where we get an outsider's view with an insider's clarity. In a shocking announcement, President DT claimed he is ending TPS status for Somali nationals in the United States, citing alleged criminal activity as justification. The move has sent shockwaves to Somali American communities, especially in Minnesota, leaving families fearful and advocates scrambling to respond. While DT's statement has gone viral, legal experts warn that the president alone cannot revoke TPS, and the humanitarian program that has protected Somali immigrants for decades remains officially in place, at least for now. Before we proceed, all credit goes to the creators of these videos. You can find all their ads in my description box. Also guys, kindly support me by watching this video till the end and I will really appreciate it. But for now, let me play you a few more clips and I'll be back with more commentary.
Hi, so I just really want to make this video from like a human space. This is something I've been really meaning to say and I'm so glad that I can finally articulate it to you guys. So I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I am born here and I've lived here. I've studied here. I'm a pre-med. I do research and that's usually the type of stuff I talk about on my page. But right now I feel like it's really important for me to say this. What I'm going to say is that I have been getting so many messages telling me to go back to your country, go back to your country. But the reality of the situation is the United States is the only country I've ever known my entire life. And the thing is, the great irony of it all is I'm not the ambassador of Somalia. I don't speak for Somali people. I'm not a spokesperson for this community. I'm just one young person trying to study, navigate life, and live like any other 20-something-year-old living here in this state. And so something that I feel like is going on is that there's a lot of immigrant people and first-gen, second-gen kids like me with this weight on our shoulders trying to explain everything going on in our communities, trying to defend our communities. But I'm really no different from any other 20-something-year-old trying to make it here in this state, in this country, in this world. And so I'm sharing this because I really feel like a lot of us are being treated this way and dealing with this quietly. But the reality is we aren't symbols. We aren't some type of ambassador. We are just human beings.
So not only are we not going anywhere, we are not going to allow anybody to make us feel less Minnesotan or less American. We are not going to allow anybody to push us into the shadows. We're not going to allow anybody to erase our presence and our contribution. And we are not going to allow anyone to scapegoat us. Because as Somalis, what we learned from Minnesotans is that you have to be resilient to thrive in Minnesota. And we are goddamn resilient.
In recent days, DT's announcement via social media specifically targeted Somali communities in Minnesota. He cited alleged criminal activity, claiming that Somali gangs were involved in fraud and money laundering schemes. While this immediately ignited fear and outrage, legal experts quickly pointed out that revoking TPS requires actions from the Department of Homeland Security, not a unilateral presidential claim. TPS status is a humanitarian program created in 1990 under the Immigration Act, designed to provide temporary legal residency to people from countries affected by natural disasters, war, or ongoing conflict. The goal is to prevent the forced return of people to dangerous situations in their home countries. Somalia, for example, has faced decades of civil war, terrorism, famine, and political instability, which led to the initial TPS designation in 1991. Over the years, TPS for Somalia has been extended multiple times, with the most recent extension scheduled to run until March 17, 2026. TPS not only allows beneficiaries to remain in the United States legally, but also provides work authorization and protection from deportation. What makes DT's announcement particularly controversial is the framing. While he pointed to alleged fraud cases as justification, critics argue that these claims are overgeneralized and unfairly target an entire community. Legal scholars know that revoking TPS requires a formal process through the DHS, including reviews of the country conditions in Somalia and notice to the public. As of now, no such order has been issued, meaning that Somali nationals under TPS remain protected. It's also important to contextualize how many people are actually affected. Nationwide, fewer than 1,000 Somali nationals currently hold TPS. Many Somali Americans in Minnesota are U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents meaning that DT's announcement, even if carried out, would only directly affect a small fraction of the community. Still, the symbolic impact has caused widespread anxiety as the Somali American population in Minnesota is concentrated and deeply integrated into the local economy, schools, and neighborhoods.
If I told you your tax dollars in Minnesota would be funding terrorism and a major immigration policy just got pulled because of it? In Minnesota, there's a welfare system that's supposed to help seniors, addicts, and people with disabilities. It's called the Housing Stabilization Program. But from 2020 onward, its cost exploded. What was once estimated $2.6 million back in 2020 became more than $61 million just in the first half of 2025. That's a major red flag. Now here's how it allegedly plays out. Fraud rings, many tied to Somali American communities in Minnesota, set up shell companies, falsified services, and signed up people that didn't really qualify. Meanwhile, a separate fraud system skyrocketed autism-related Medicaid claims from $3 million in 2018 to $399 million in 2023. Then the money allegedly didn't stay in Minnesota. A lot of it was sent to Somalia through informal Hawala money networks. While in Somalia, some of that money ended up in the hands of Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab being an Al-Qaeda-linked terror group. So what started for taxpayer help turned into a massive funnel of fraud, and then into money being redirected overseas, possibly funding terrorists.
Supporters of DT's statement argue that there have been well-documented cases of fraud in Minnesota, some involving Somali Americans, particularly in areas such as public benefit programs, housing, and employment. They claim that targeting TPS holders is a way to prevent misuse of public resources and safeguard taxpayers. From this perspective, the action is framed as an enforcement measure rather than a discriminatory one, aimed at preserving the integrity of public programs. However, legal experts and community leaders strongly push back against this reasoning. They argue that associating the actions of a few individuals with an entire ethnic or immigration community is not only unfair, but also legally questionable. They warn that this kind of rhetoric risks stigmatizing an entire population, potentially leading to harassment, discrimination, and further marginalization. Many civil rights organizations have condemned the announcement, framing it as politically motivated and potentially unconstitutional if implemented. Lawmakers from both parties have expressed concern over the announcement, highlighting the contribution of Somali communities to local economies, businesses, and civic life. Many of these communities have been active in education, entrepreneurship, and social programs, challenging the narrative that criminal activity is widespread among Somali Americans. The controversy has also sparked broader discussion about U.S. immigration policy and the responsibility of citizenship. People argue that policies like TPS are vital for protecting people fleeing violence and instability, and that linking immigration protection to allegations of fraud is a slippery slope. Supporters counter that any program, including TPS, must include mechanisms to prevent abuse and ensure accountability. The debate reflects larger tensions in American society around immigration, diversity, and community safety, forcing citizens and policymakers alike to grapple with questions about fairness, justice, and national identity. Courts have previously blocked attempts to end TPS for other countries, citing insufficient review of country conditions or failure to follow due process. This legal precedent suggests that Somali TPS holders may have strong grounds to contest any abrupt termination. In the meantime, the announcement has caused considerable fear and uncertainty within Somali American communities. Families are worried about the potential loss of legal status, employment, and stability, while young Somali Americans, many of whom are US-born, face questions about the safety and security of their families, whether TPS for Somali nationals will be formally revoked, and what the consequences would be for individuals, families, and the broader community is still unknown. What is clear is that the controversy has reignited debates over immigration policy, humanitarian obligations, and community responsibility in the United States. It underscores the challenges of balancing enforcement and protection, accountability and fairness, and policy with compassion. As this story unfolds, the Somali American community, policymakers, legal experts, and advocates are watching closely. The coming months may determine not only the future of Somali TPS, but also the broader direction of U.S. immigration policy and the role of immigrant communities in American society. In a country built on both law and humanitarian ideals, the resolution of the situation will carry implications far beyond one community, raising questions about justice, equity, and the meaning of protection in the modern era.
There are truths we have not been saying out loud. Number one, go to Somali malls. Cash only, no receipts. That's sus. We gotta say that out loud. Number 2, Somali tax accountants. They say, oh, you have no taxes today. That's sus. We gotta call that out. What? Yeah. Somali trucking companies cutting corners. That's sus. Let's not do that. Appreciate that. Let me keep going. Yeah, helping each other lie on forms. Like it's some sort of community service we're doing to each other. What? Yeah. And recently I just saw a Somali police officer saying that he only serves the Somali community. What are you doing? You're an American. The whole citizens is your duty to protect.
So what do you all think? Do you think ending TPS for Somali nationals is fair or unfair? And how do you think Somali American communities in Minnesota will be affected if TPS is revoked? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video specifically tailored for you. And if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel and helps YouTube recommend this video to a wider audience. Lastly, kindly consider joining my channel and I would really appreciate it. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.